Welcome back to today's lesson. We're going to continue working with the notes that we learned last time round, which was our rice, our naan bread, or our crotchet and our pairs of quavers, the crotchet rest, and we're going to do a little bit more work this week on our quiets and our louds. So we've got loud dynamics and quiet dynamics. We're going to see how they're written down in the music, and we are also going to learn a brand new piece of music together. But before we do any of that, I'm just going to get a drum kit player to join in with us. We're going to see if we can find some pulse. Hopefully you can hear that. I'm going to find my pulse potatoes. And now I know where the pulse is. I'm going to see if we can do a little bit of echo work to start with. So I'll say something into my microphone and then it's your turn when it points towards you. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, naan bread, naan bread, rice. Rice, rice, naan bread. Naan bread, rice. Now that last one should have had a little bit of silence at the end of it. That's going to be where the rest is. So I'll just try that last one more time. Naan bread, rice. Very good. Okay, here comes our next layer. Going to change the texture a little bit of this piece of music now. So as well as having some drums, we've now got the bass guitar in there as well. So it's the same tempo or speed, it's the same pulse that we had before. Here we go again. Naan bread, rice. Rice, rice, naan bread. Very good. Now I'm going to find my other microphone, which is going to be set to a quieter dynamic. So I've got a loud microphone and a quiet microphone. Let's see how we get on with this. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Very good. So that time for our dynamics, we had a loud microphone and a quiet microphone. And if a composer wanted us to make loud and quiet music, when they wrote down the rhythms or the notes on a piece of music, they would use some very special letters. If they wanted us to play with a loud dynamic, they would use the letter F. If they wanted us to play with a quiet dynamic, they would use the letter P. Now they might seem like random choices of letters, but they're short for Italian words which mean loud and quiet. The Italians were the first people to write down music. So had it been English people that wrote down the music to start with, we might have an L for loud and a Q for quiet. But the Italian word for loud and strong is forte. Forte. It's almost like what might come after 39 in Italian, but not really. So forte means loud and piano means quiet or soft or gentle. So we've got forte and piano. And if we had them underneath some music, I'll just show you this example here. So this one is now showing us where you would have these directions. The first example of this I'm going to share with you today has got the whole word written underneath the music. So we can see underneath the first line, we've got forte and then loud in brackets. Underneath the second line, we've got piano or quiet. So if we were to just have a quick go at this piece of music, I'm just checking that my copy is the same as the copy that you've got. Yes, I think it is. So the first line would be forte. So let's see if we can say the first line together nice and loud. off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, naan bread, naan bread, rice. And then underneath the second line, it says quiet or piano. So let's try the second line together. Off we go. Rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. And then there will be a rest at the end if I can work out how to do the rest. Let's try both of those together. This time we'll try it with our microphone. So we're going to do a loud microphone followed by a quiet microphone. First line is forte, loud. Off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Did you manage it? Good. Next time we're going to show our dynamics with a loud dynamic with our hands far apart and a quiet dynamic with our hands close together. Here we go one more time with the words. Off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Fantastic. Now let's see if we can put the words in our heads, and we're just going to clap the rhythm. So we'll have a whole hand clap with all of our fingers for the loud dynamics, and then I'm going to go into a 2-finger clap for the quiet dynamics. It's actually 4 fingers if you count them all. And I'm not trying to make that one loud. I'm not going to be going, I'm just going to be making sure that that one is a quiet dynamic because it's marked piano. Okay, so words in our heads. And we'll try all of this music one more time. Ready, steady, off we go. Composers can sometimes be a little bit lazy, and instead of wanting to write down the whole word forte or the whole word piano, then they would just write the first letter. So like I talked about before, we've got an F for loud and a P for quiet. And if we look at this version of the same piece of music, we've got our F and our P just to remind us about loud and quiet. So let's just try this version without the full words there, and we're just going to clap. This time using our loud claps and our quiet claps. Okay, ready, steady, off we go. That was a bit fast, wasn't it? So I'll try again a little bit slower. I'm going to change the tempo. Here's the new pulse, the new tempo. Boom, boom. And we'll see if we can go a little bit slower. Ready, steady, nice and slow. We're now going to have a go at our longest piece of music to date. This piece of music has got 4 lines to it. It's also got 8 bars, which are shown by the vertical lines that come in between different bits of music. So if you look at the first line, it goes rice, rice, naan bread, rice, and then we have a vertical line before we go have naan bread, rice. That's a little bit like having a finger space between words, but it's just showing us where one group of 4 beats finish and the next group of 4 beats start. And each group of 4 beats is called 1 bar. So we can see in the first line we have 2 bars. In the second line we have 2 bars. Third line we have 2 bars. You can see where we're going with this. And the fourth and final line also has 2 bars. So the whole of this piece, which is called the Lockdown Lowdown, has 8 bars in total. So let's see if we can read through the whole of Lockdown Lowdown. Being careful of our rice, our naan bread and our rests, and looking out for where the dynamics change. The first 2 lines should be familiar because they're the ones we've just been doing. Line 3 I think is the hardest because it changes dynamics twice. And then line 4 is our big finish. So we'll read through it slowly to start with using our dynamics on our microphones with our loud microphone and our quiet microphone. Okay, off we go. Ready, steady, off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, naan bread, naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Did you manage that? Let's try doing the same thing one more time. I'm going to go a little bit slower. I'm going to try not to sneeze at you halfway through. Here we go from the beginning. Loud microphone, quiet microphone. I think that's quite a good tempo that we've chosen so far. So we'll try it the same again at that tempo. All 4 lines. Ready, steady, off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice, rice. Naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. How did you get on? Good. Let's try our loud claps and our quiet claps this time, with all of our dynamics and our rests in as well. Same tempo, same speed. Ready, steady, off we go. How did you do? Good. Just to remind you, with all of these videos, you can pause them whenever you like. That's my sign for a pause. And you can rewind them so you can go back a little bit and play the same thing again. And you can also slow down my tempos at any time. So if you want to have another go at it quieter or slower, then you can just go back a little bit and then you can adjust the tempo or the speed, and then you can try it again, practice it a little bit slower. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find our band again that we had at the start of our lesson and see what kind of tempo we were at. Oops. More or less the tempo we've just been going, maybe a little bit slower, so I'm going to find the pulse. And let's try doing our microphone version first. Loud microphone, quiet microphone, and our rests. And see if we can get through the whole thing. Ready, steady, off we go. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice. Naan bread, rice. Rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread. Rice, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice, naan bread, rice. Good. Let's go for our loud claps and our quiet claps. See how that one works. Remember to keep the words in your head all the time. And even if the words are in your head, try and keep them nice and loud as well. Okay, going to wait for the pattern to come round to the beginning. Ready, steady, off we go. Really good. Okay. So that tempo was 80 beats per minute. I'm going to finish off today's lesson by going a little bit quicker and seeing if you can keep up. So I'm going to go all the way up to 100 beats per minute. And we're going to try it once with our microphones and once with our loud claps and our quiet claps. and always with the words somewhere. So let's see how fast this one is now. Sounds like a lot more fun at this tempo. So we're going to get ready with our microphones. Once we've got the tempo settled and the pulse settled, ready, steady, up we go. Rise, rise, naan bread, rise. Naan bread, naan bread, naan bread, rise. Rise, naan bread, naan bread, rise. Naan bread, naan bread, rise. Rise, naan bread, rise, naan bread. Rise, rise, naan bread, rise. Naan bread, rise. Naan bread, naan bread, rise. How did you do? Good. Okay, and the final version. Claps, words in our heads, lots of concentrating. I'll see if I can get through this right the first time. Okay, ready, steady, up we go. You managed to keep up? I hope you did. Okay, for next week's lesson, I want to see if you can find some homemade instruments, because we're going to try playing along to a few things. I've just got a couple of things which hopefully you'll be able to see. So the first thing I found is an old coffee tin. I like this coffee tin because it's got a plastic lid on it and it's also got a metal bottom. So if I play this with, today's drumstick is a chopstick. So on this end it sounds like this. And on that end it sounds like this. So I've got a high pitch and a low pitch you can choose from. I've also put some rice in it because I like this one as a shaker. Don't think we'll be using it as a shaker when we play our Lockdown, Lowdown. And other things that you might use, leftover from Christmas, and I have finished all of these. Not personally, I shared some of them, just the ones I didn't like. So I've got these, and I've got, I'm not sure what these are. Found them in the kitchen. I think they're for spreading stuff when you're making cakes. I sometimes use them for making lasagna, but apart from that, wooden spoons would also work. So sometimes I could play them this way around on my sweet box. Also see if that sounds any better on the other side. I could use them both together. You won't be able to see this, but you might be able to hear it. And the other thing I could do is see what the sticks sound like if I hold them this way around. So I've now got what would be the spoony bit, technical term, as a handle. And then I'm just going to hold these as if I was holding drumsticks. And I could try doing the very last line of Lockdown, Lowdown so you can hear what goes on. So I'm beginning to use some sticks. Might help us if we can use both our hands for some of our rhythms. Might help us with some of our faster tempos. So in time for next week's lesson, have a think about some other things that you might be able to find around. If you can't find sticks, then hands work just as well. If you can't find your hands, then we're in trouble. And anything that's hollow makes a good sound. Didn't need to show you inside. Sometimes you could find maybe a saucepan. Another thing I'm going to use is an upside down bin, making sure I've put the rubbish somewhere carefully first. Or cardboard boxes also work quite well. So just have a think about what you might use, and we'll try those out next week.